Hey everybody, welcome back to Atomic Hillbilly Garage. Today I'm back in the shop, as you can see, and thinking about, hey, what am I gonna drive to the Hot Rod Power Tour? That's like maybe 2 weeks away, right? Is it gonna be this? No, probably not. Is it gonna be this? No, probably not. Is it gonna be this? Nope, not that either. Is it gonna be this? I mean, you know what? For a fleeting moment, I actually thought, hey, there's my candidate, right? But no. Or is it gonna be this? So, after much thinking, I thought this is the closest thing that I've got to being able to run and drive. I've heard it fire, but I can't keep it running. I pulled the carburetor off like, I don't know, 1984, and was gonna rebuild it, and life happens. It's sitting on the workbench at my house. So I did buy a kit to rebuild it off of the mighty eBay. So whether or not I'm successful there, I don't know. But now part of me is like, hey, put a good carburetor on this thing, do a little bit of brake work on it, and change of fluids and do a few things. And if I can drive anything at all on Hot Rod Power Tour, this is going to be it. If not, I'll see you in my Durango. Stick around and check it out. Okay, so what did I do off camera? We moved the truck over, and that was a little bit of a challenge. My wife helped me move it over. I had to pull it with the forklift to get it over here. My buddy happened to have a 750 Edelbrock sitting on the shelf that he said, hey, that carb's supposed to be good. Go ahead and throw it on and see what happens. Nabbed the battery out of somebody's truck that's up here that we're working on right now to check it out. Filled up the bowl, and that's pretty much it. We came over here, hit the old magic key. I haven't tried the key actually, but hit my best friend right here. And check that out. And literally, this is the second time I've started it. So it literally runs that good after sitting here for 3-4 years, something like that. Carburetor seems to be doing okay right now. I got to turn the idle up on it a little bit, but and that's just the gas that's in the bowl. It's not drawing off the pump yet. I did put a new fuel pump on it at one point in time. So hey, as long as the tranny checks out and the rear end, and I can get the brakes all good and going, I'm gonna see you guys on Power Tour in this baby. All right, so one thing good here, kind of-ish, is the pedal is slightly pumping up. So we're getting a little bit out of it, and it's returning, which is a bonus. And obviously this thing was a manual shift truck at one point. Still got the pedal laying down in there, but we're gonna have to get this thing up on some up on the lift, see if we can't pull the tires off, start checking out these brakes, bleeding them up, doing whatever we got to do to hopefully get these things to work. Now, something else we discovered when we were trying to move this thing over, that's as far down as this window is going to go, and it feels like it's hanging up and something's doing something. So gonna have to figure that out, because that's well, actually this is my air conditioning, but you know, this is going to be part of my air conditioning. So You know, we got the event windows that we can flip around and get some ram air, forced induction going on us, but I like to have the window down where I like to lay my elbow. And this door, I had it open the other day, and feels like somebody welded it shut now. So I'm gonna go around to the other side, get inside of it, pull on that handle, see if I can throw my elbow or my shoulder out trying to wedge this thing open, and then figure out what we got to do to actually make this door work. Not that I plan on picking up any hitchhikers, but you just never know. All right, so I pulled the cap off of the master cylinder because I hit the brakes in there and nothing, and there's no fluid really to speak of down in there. She's a little dirty, but not bad actually. This looks pretty new. So yeah, it's got a little settlement in there. This kind of concerned me at first when I first opened it up, but this is just condensation on the bottom separated out by the gasket, so it didn't impact the master cylinder at all. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this out real quick, put some fresh fluid in there, and see if we can't get these brakes to pump up real quick. So we're going to see if we can get it to draw some fuel out of the gas can and sit here and run on its own for a while. Not yet, it seems. Yeah.
Driving a little?
She's trying. She's trying to draw it up there, ain't she? My truck going up in flames. I gotta...
You doing it? No.
No, I know what. That's my gum.
That's the line to the gas tank?
No, so hold up.
That's the line to the gas can?
Just wait. All right, so I'm going to try to actually backfill the fuel pump and actually pour some gas directly down this fuel line and see if maybe, just maybe, we can get this thing to start drawing fuel out of this gas can here. All right, and now we'll just give that a little whirl. Still no. So what I did, I kind of primed the pump, primed the bowl, had a bunch of gas leak out over here, which I just sopped up. So obviously this carb's probably not going to be the carb I drive with. So let's see what happens. Well, I just pulled the pump, new pump that I think I put on, but I don't remember. But I can't get this sucker to draw any fuel out of the can. And, you know, it looks like everything was riding the way it was supposed to be riding. The push rod was on there the way it was supposed to be on there, but here it is. So, and gas came out of it. so it tells me I had something almost right. And the push rod's in it. Wasted 20 minutes of my life there. Now let's waste 20 more and put it back. So while the missus is gone running some parts and food errands for me, while I got this thing on the lift here, if you can see this on the camera, but these tires are pretty bad dry rotted around the outer edge here. So definitely, you know, it's a shame it's got good tread on them. But anyways, unfortunately, we're gonna have to go ahead and get some new tires on this thing, which was pretty much gonna be in the plans anyways. Then it's just gonna be a question of, do I keep the police wheels and those hubcaps, or I got some 15-inch slots laying over here by my other truck that I thought about putting on there. I just thought I'd give it a little more cool period correct factor. So same thing on the rears, dry rotted here. So obviously this truck sat for some time, more dry rot. But remarkably though, looking underneath this truck, I never really got under it. Actually, this is really the first time, other than a glance under here before I bought it. This thing is actually very solid for these trucks, right? They all tend to rust, but you know, it's got some rocker rust, which is very common on these trucks, unfortunately. But even up here, if you can see that, right, that area is prone to rust on them bad, and that one looks pretty solid. And actually the floors look great in this thing. I mean, there's a little bit of, you know, stuff here and there. That actually looks like somebody cut it out and did something there. But anyways, the rear cab mounts are actually a little crusty, which is unusual. That's not common, at least in the ones I've dealt with. So but overall, man, she's really really is a good solid truck. So onward we go, right? So right now, trying to figure out the fuel issue. This thing does not want to draw gas up out of the fuel jug here. So although when I did take it apart, you know, some fuel ran out of it, but I've been priming it, pouring gas down both lines, trying to get it to prime itself, and just not having any luck. And actually I pulled the hose, the outlet that feeds the carburetor. I pulled it, put it in the jug there, and there was a little bit of fuel spitting in it, but nothing that'll keep it running, unfortunately. So again, fuel pump, and let's see, somewhere I've got the original one. Don't know what I've done with it now. But anyway, I compared them side by side. They are identical. Actually, it might be topside on the truck up there somewhere. But I did compare them side by side, and it's the same size rod and everything, you know. So it's the right pump, no doubt about it. Identical inlet, outlet, angles, everything about it is identical. So gonna put it back on, see if we can make it happen. All right, so after a few words that you know, can't be said on TV, we got the fuel pump back in there. I believe the rod is up on top of the armature, so everything should be good there. I'm gonna pull the plug out, try to take a peek up in there, and just make sure that rod's where she needs to be. But as much as I love Mopars, man, putting their fuel pumps on sucks. But honestly, I think putting most mechanical fuel pumps on suck, regardless of the flavor. But she's on. Let's see what happens. Oh, look out. Top the oil back off before I make a run. All right, so apparently we don't have a oil filter wrench here, and I cannot get that sucker to come off there. So I'm gonna try a little old Southern engineering here and see if I can make a blooming mess. Oh yeah. Make a mess of my face. And wherever else we might be able to do something. Oh, look at that. Now, let's see, obviously on this truck, you can see this up in here anyways, the oil filter is, well, the hose is laying right up against the oil filter. So I'd say, I haven't checked the numbers on this truck yet, but I don't think this truck was a factory big block truck. Therefore, who knows what's wrong and what is right on this thing. But obviously the radiator, I don't know, something needs to change. Something somewhere. But I think we're gonna be able to get the filter out of here now.
Yay.
Maybe. I did get it to budge. That sucker's on there. Let's see if we can make her turn a little more.
You're so dirty.
Make matters worse, this is a Ford oil filter. Maybe.
Oh, look at her.
There we go.
We did it.
That was the most funnest oil change I've done in a long time.
Gosh, no.
The good news is my oil and my oil filter are in the kitchen
Way
up
up
on
high?
the lift up there.
Aw.
So, but we've done stupid things like that more than once ladder here, so that's how we access stupid things that we leave in the cab.
Second floor. We thought he was kidding. She landed.
Pennzoil did not sponsor this video, but they should, because they've been using their oil for about 45 years probably. And Fram oil filters.
Not a sponsor.
I know you haters gonna hate, but 420K on my Hemi using Fram and Pennzoil. Oil's in, check. Fuel pump's back on, check. Pulled the plug out, made sure that the push rod was on the armature, check. All checks out good. So
you don't know.
now the only thing I'm going to try differently, hey look, there's the fuel pump I was looking for before that matches exactly the new one that I just pulled off of there and put back on, just to make sure everything was checking out. The only thing I'm going to do differently this time, I'm going to set the gas can up on the fender and see if a little gravity feed might help it. It's still got to come up and out of the can, so I don't know that it's going to make a difference, but that's the only thing that I'm going to potentially do differently. Will the fuel pump fuel? Take number 543, I think. Let's give it a whirl. She draw the fuel. Really thought we had it. She sure seemed like it. Look, it's getting the fuel up. There's fuel coming out of that hole. So it's got to be
The carburetor.
in that freaking carburetor. That doesn't make any sense. But yet, she don't want to keep running. Starving for fuel. Why are we starving for fuel? Alright, so I'm gonna pop this out. I don't think it's gonna be plugged because I'm able to fill the bowl. There's not even a screen in there. So therefore it's not plugged. Fill the bowl again. Overfill the bowl. A little bit for you. Give that a minute to evaporate, and we'll try to run. Okay, so I absolutely cannot get this thing to pump gas. I pulled the line out of the tank, put my thumb over it, there's zilch. So I think even though it's a brand new mechanical pump, I believe it's a bad brand new mechanical pump. So called all 3 of the big chain parts houses here locally. Nobody has it in stock, can't get one till tomorrow. In the meantime, we're going to tackle the brakes, take this thing apart. I'm going to have to order the fuel pump. I'm going to dive into all these brakes all the way around it, just kind of analyze what parts I might need for this thing, because I guarantee they ain't going to have them in stock either. So hopefully anything I might need to order, we can get ordered, have it all here tomorrow at the same time, and move forward on this thing and drive it soon. So the shoes actually don't look bad. The drum's got some grooves in it, but I'm hoping I can get these turned out, get those cleaned up. But look, the wheel cylinders look pretty questionable, and the driver's rear shows evidence of either the wheel cylinder leaking or the axle gasket bearing seals leaking. So I'm gonna have to do something there, but I'm gonna go ahead and get these all pulled apart, and think I'm just gonna go ahead and order wheel cylinders for all the way around on this thing. And the brake lines look okay-ish. I might order some brake lines as well if they're available. They're still actually very flexible, so they don't feel real stiff. But onward we go into, like, how many days till High Rod Power Tour? About maybe seven till I have to be there. So will it happen? I don't know. We're just gonna keep plugging forward. Oopsie.
Tell us a little about this technique you're using.
Yeah, it's called the hammer stronger than rust. Sometimes.
Ideally.
Just trying to break the rust loose on the shoes to the drum. I can get it
Oh, you did it.
Okay. So in a nutshell, all the way around, I'm going to put wheel cylinders on it, probably put bearings in it and seals, and actually the spring kit looks new, but I think I'm going to get shoes all the way around, that way everything's fresh. Did find a crack on the other brake line, so I think I'm going to replace at least the 2 front brake lines. Have to assess the rear one still, but for tonight I think I got to throw in the towel, go home, figure out what I got to order, where I'm going to order it from, and get it on its way so I can get this stuff delivered and installed ASAP. So this one here is the worst of the worst. You can see all the grease and everything inside here where it's been leaking. It's actually on the shoes, so I'm going to go ahead and replace these shoes and replace the wheel cylinders. Again, the spring kits actually look new, so I'm not going to worry about those, but at least on the rear. I might order some fronts, but. And then this brake line back here, I'm just going to assess it and see what I think about it, because it is in horrible shape on top there, and it'll probably cause me more disasters than I care to deal with right now. Well, we got 3 parts, and we only need about 40 parts, most of which will be here tomorrow, some of which will be here the day after, which puts us down to about 4 days to get this thing running, driving, stopping, pumping gas, all the above. So hopefully our problem is the mechanical fuel pump is bad, because I've ordered another one, and we'll just see what happens. But for now, I do have the 2 rear wheel cylinders, so we're going to dive in, go ahead and get them taken and replaced out. All right, this is the worst of the worst here, so I don't know if it's actually the wheel cylinder or if it's actually the axle seal that's leaking here, but you can see that we got a ton of grease buildup inside this particular wheel. So this is where I'm starting, just in case it's worse than the rest. All right, so I got this one cleaned up. I got the new wheel cylinder in, as you can see. Give me a little bit of grief on the line on the back, but all's well that ends well, I hope. Anyways, so just not thoroughly convinced that, I don't know, these looked like they were leaking, but I really suspect we might be losing some grease from the axle itself. And really, on crunch time, I don't have time to pull this apart or order the parts that I would need for this and be able to get them in there. So this is something I'm just going to have to keep an eye on as I drive this thing around locally here in town. Again, I cleaned it up as best I can, so hopefully if I get in here and I see signs of leakage before the power tour, what are we going to do? I don't know. Drive it? Maybe. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so I got the rear brakes done, new wheel cylinders, new shoes, and topped off the rear end gear lube, which was about a quart low. So I do suspect that the driver's side is leaking gear lube into that. So not the best thing, but I'm gonna make do with it for the tour probably. And fuel pump issues, right? I think I actually kind of figured it out. This is what was on the truck when I purchased the truck, and you can see it wasn't used, it was just there. They had an electric fuel pump on this thing. However, they took it off before I took ownership of this. So the electric fuel pump was not on the truck when I bought it. And I thought, okay, I don't want one. I'm gonna go out and buy a brand new fuel pump and put it on. Put this on, could not get this thing to pump up fuel at all. Couldn't get it to draw out of the can. Could not pick up on anything that was, you know, suction or pressure coming out of it. So I actually put it in the bench vise and was able to compress it. It's a good pump, right? There's no doubt about it, it's a good pump. So the old brain got thinking that there's probably an issue with the lobe that drives the fuel pump rod in the motor, and that's why they probably had an electric fuel pump on there. So I went ahead and purchased this Edelbrock electric fuel pump, and the guy at the auto parts store told me, hey, this thing will work. You don't need a fuel pressure regulator or anything on it. It should be good for a carbureted motor. So this is going to go on hopefully tomorrow. The rest of my parts are due in tomorrow to finish up the front brakes and the transmission fluid and filter. So moving forward, today is Tuesday, and I'm hoping to leave either sometime Sunday or Monday morning. So we're gonna get it done. I just don't know, but we're moving forward. All right, well, it is Wednesday night, early evening actually. I think it's 5 o'clock, 5:30, somewhere in there. Anyways, so things have been fighting me a little bit. This is the hoses that O'Reilly showed were the replacements for this truck. And I confirmed that exact part number with a friend of mine that owns a CarQuest here locally. They're too short, period. Here's the hoses that came off the truck, and they are about probably a good solid, this actually, I think, according to O'Reilly, was like 19¼ inches. This one here, I think, was a little over 21. And even though it doesn't seem like much, it would not stretch, right? It just absolutely would not fit. So went to see my buddies at the CarQuest. He did some digging for me, and God bless him, he came up with this part number, which I don't even know what it fits. Basically, he just went in his bag of hoses, started looking for fittings that were similar to mine, and lo and behold, here it is actually in the truck, right? So everything worked. It fit here. It was a little slightly different here, but it works, or so it seems to work anyways. I haven't pumped fluid through it yet. So, and same thing on the frame side, right? You can kind of see that up in there. So that came through. That's all good. The only thing that was different is the flare size inside here versus what this line is. So he gave me these adapters, if you will, that step it down from that size to the size that I need. Now I'm gonna have to bend these out a little bit maybe and get them to get in there and tap them in, but this is all gonna work. So high five for old school auto parts guys that don't rely on the computer for everything. Is it 4-wheel drive? Does it have wiper blades? Is that the right part? Okay, it is now officially Thursday, so we're only like 3 days away from Hot Rod Power Tour. Still don't have it running. I got the brakes done today. I just put on the Edelbrock electric fuel pump, got it hooked up and ready to fire it up, see if this thing will actually run and stay running. I don't have the pump right now. The pump is just kind of hot wired in there. I got a wire run straight over to my battery and ground it out. Everything is good except for really the wiring, and then I got to put this toggle switch on the inside, which you can hear it running the pump. So right now I got everything filled. Once it starts, I'll turn the pump on. My next issue is going to be the gas tank. On constant fuel pressure now. So again, I really think if I dug inside this motor, the lobe that runs the fuel pump was wiped out. That's why they had an electric fuel pump on it in the first place. That's why I couldn't get that new pump to prime up. Live and learn. She is burning a little bit of oil, but hopefully once we run her for a while and get her on the road, that'll clear itself up, I hope. Boop boop. Boop, boop. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's not the lug nut that's spinning. That's the whole wheel stud assembly that's spinning. So I did this last night at the last minute, and that was just kind of the final straw there for the evening. It was late, I was tired. I wish I would have took the hub assembly off last night, which is what I'm fixing to do right now, and carry this to a buddy of mine, let him take care of that, put a new stud in it for me, and get that took care of. But in the meantime, what am I doing? I'm throwing in the towel, guys. I realized in a conversation today with somebody that I don't have this truck legalized. Came out of the state of Alabama. Alabama doesn't issue titles on vehicles this old. The state of Tennessee requires a notarized bill of sale. I don't have that yet. The gentleman I bought it from assured me we can get a notarized bill of sale. It's not going to be a problem, but we just can't do that till sometime next week. So, can't drive it without license plates and insurance. So I've just decided, let's just call it. And we will see some of you guys on the Hot Rod Power Tour 2024. I'm going to keep moving forward on this thing though, because I'm excited that it's this close to running and driving. We actually have a little local car parade of classic cars tomorrow that I was going to participate in with this, if I got it to that point. But again, somebody might frown that there's no license plates on it and no insurance and things of that nature. I still got to get tires, transmission, brake lights, tail lights. Anyway, is what it is, guys. Hey, if you've watched the video this long, thank you very much for doing so. And if you haven't done so yet, please like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, do all that fun stuff to help my channel to continue to grow. And we'll see you back real soon.